as a young person, when I heard somebody mention about the Buddha or some teaching of the Buddhas, I felt really like to stop, to contemplate that this is something important and worthy of paying attention to. By the time I was in university, in pre-med, someone brought up the Buddha's Four Noble Truths. This was in the context of discussing medicine and about suffering and like what is the cause of human suffering, and then the proposition that the cause of suffering can be really truly known and can be understood, and that suffering can be ended. When I heard this teaching on the Four Noble Truths, it had such kind of gravitas for me that I felt really just like, almost like the whole world just stopped and came to a standstill, and it got my full attention. Later on, then a friend of my family had gone to Thailand, then found out about the opportunity to ordain as a bhikkhu for 3 months. I, as a young teenager, then said, can I do that too? I want to do that too. But then he told me that it was possible for him as a man, but that he did not think that women could do that. I thought, but wait, the original teaching and original way of life has both the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, the like fully ordained male and female monastics. So then what happened? And this understanding what happened has been a really big part of my life and my study and my work.
My mother actually was the first fully ordained nun, not in Theravada, but in Mahayana, and she was already running a temple.
There are these qualities which I mentioned, and you will see that the world...
I happened to be her only child, so everyone was expecting that I should continue this temple. I keep pushing it. To lead a monastic life, you have to come with 100% commitment, and I was not ready. I finished my education both in Canada and India with my thesis on comparative study of the monastic rules of the fully ordained nuns. I was the first Thai woman who actually came back with degree in religion. So then I continued teaching in Thammasat University for 27 years in the Department of Philosophy and Religion. During that time, I was already hosting this Dharma program.
สวัสดีค่ะท่านผู้ชม
Before that, it's only monks and it's only male who would teach Buddhism through television.
มาพบกับท่านผู้ชมในรายการของเราอีกครั้งหนึ่ง
And I was quite accustomed to that kind of life. One day when I was putting on makeup, I looked in the mirror at my own self, at my own reflection, and suddenly there was a question that came in my mind, saying that, how long do I have to do this? I was stunned, like it's about time. It's about time you make a decision.
All of the Buddhist ancient texts agree that the Buddha himself founded the bhikkhu and bhikkhuni sanghas. At some time, often said to be around 1,000 years ago or so, then some branches of the women's monastic tradition, the bhikkhuni sangha, died out. At least we can say in Sri Lanka and perhaps in Southeast Asia as well. When I was a young person, then entering into Buddhism, the situation was that there were almost no bhikkhunis in Theravada Buddhism. There were women who had practiced in the Theravada traditions of South and Southeast Asia who had ordained via East Asian traditions, because that's what was available up until that time. So in 1996 and 1998, there were a larger number of women from Sri Lanka, also from India and other countries than from Theravada traditions who received bhikkhuni ordination with the support of East Asian traditions in India, with the aim to revive the Theravada bhikkhuni sanghas. And then from 1998 in Sri Lanka, Theravada form bhikkhuni ordinations started again. Then from the year 2002 and 2003, then there are women from Southeast Asia, southern Vietnam, and also Thailand, also from Burma, who started to go to Sri Lanka to receive bhikkhuni ordination.
When I came back, for the first time they heard of women being ordained, so the reaction was quite strong. I was on the media, one particular newspaper for 2 months. There were lots of negative vibration going around. The Buddha was the one who established fourfold Buddhist. Fourfold Buddhist meaning bhikkhu, fully ordained monk, bhikkhuni, fully ordained women, laymen and lay women. And in our country, we don't have fully ordained nun. Women do not have role model, do not have religious role model, which is very important. The body of monks is like a triangle, and the top part of the triangle is this cabinet, which is called Council of Elders. When we were ordained, this Council of Elders made a pronouncement that they do not accept, because we are not recognized by this Council of Elders. So therefore, the government also do not recognize us.
She said that she can touch the bhikkhuni, to get close to a bhikkhuni than the bhikkhu.
So when I was in Malaysia attending the Sakyadhita conference in 2006 in Kuala Lumpur, I met Thai bhikkhunis. They had very recently ordained. But when I met them, I was stunned at the situation in Thailand. And I really began to learn about what they were going through to become established.
คนอย่างภิกขุณีแต่ละท่านหรือสามเณรแต่ละท่านที่เพิ่งบวชขึ้นมาแล้วเมืองไทยเพิ่งเริ่มต้นมีไม่นานไม่กี่ปีนี่เองหลายสิ่งยังมีแรงกดดันมาก
The first bhikkhuni I met was in the early 1990s, Ayakema.
I set up a nunnery in Sri Lanka. I set up a meditation center in Germany.
And she was very powerful, influential. She was one of the founders of Sakyadhita, which was an international organization to help women who wanted to ordain. So I have Ayakema, powerful, influential, traveling around the world, access to all this teaching, well supported. And then what? I see these 3 Thai bhikkhunis. It's like somebody threw a bucket of cold water on me, like, this is not computing. How could people who call themselves Buddhists allow this to happen? Did they not know that they were misrepresenting the intentions of the Buddha?
So tell us about your home. Tell us how your kuti was constructed.
And that's when I began my education. on what's happening in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, Burma, Myanmar, Sri Lanka.
10-20 ปีมานี้ก็มีสตรีอยากจะบวชมันมีข้อแม้อยู่ข้อหนึ่งว่าการจะบวชเป็นภิกษุณีนั้นต้องให้ภิกษุณีบวชให้ก่อนพูดง่ายๆก็เรียกว่าต้องมีภิกษุณีเป็นอุปัชฌาย์ให้ก่อนถ้าไม่มีภิกษุณีเป็นอุปัชฌาย์ให้ก็บวชไม่ได้นี่คือปัญหาพอบวชไม่ได้ท่านก็บอกว่าท่านไปบวชมาจากที่อื่นถามมาที่อื่นที่ไหนอ่ะบวชแบบโจรอยู่อ่ะไม่ใช่บวชเปิดเผยเพราะฉะนั้นไม่เป็นที่ยอมรับหรอก
In the beginning, when there were no fully ordained nuns, the Buddha allowed the monks to give ordination to women, and this was never lifted. But Thai Sangha believed that ordination must be first given by the order of ordained nuns and then order of ordained monks, which is a misbelief, I would say.
It seems to most scholars that it was always a troubled and controversial issue whether women could really attain equal status in the Buddhist hierarchy and in Buddhist religious institutions. And even in the early centuries when there was a flourishing female order, they already were, there was competition, for one thing, between the male order and the female order. So the monastic order depends for its livelihood on the support of the lay community. And that has to do with how much the lay community respects them or not. So if the lay community has in its mind that actually men are always stronger and smarter than women, they're going to respect the men more than the women. But if they are open to gender and sex equality, that there might be a possibility that the lay community might even prefer female nuns instead of monks. But in any event, it was competitive. Most of the monastic orders in the Buddhist world are kind of conservative. Not all of them, and not every single monk, and there's wonderful people who have been really strong and brave on this, but they're kind of conservative and they don't want to rock the boat and they don't want to have to bother with a female new ordination lineage, which is going to be, in some sense, possibly competing with them or maybe even surpassing them. And so that's really what the problem is that they have not been very cooperative. And they haven't shown interest and energy and excitement about reestablishing and providing this opportunity for women.
I've been fully ordained for more than 20 years. So I'm also a bhikkhuni preceptor, or pawatini upajjhaya, which means that I'm able or authorized by the Sangha to be able to support the full ordination of women. During the time of my monastic life, then I've seen the Bhikkhuni Sangha not only revive in Sri Lanka, starting with just 10 and then another 20, so 33 women, and then more and more in the first couple of years. Then we see up to 500 women, and now from last year we counted 5,555 Theravada Bhikkhunis in the world. Here, the first woman with Native American heritage ordained here fully on this land at our Aranyabodhi Hermitage in 2010. So I thought that was a wonderful kind of milestone. I spent most of my early time training in Asia. It was only at the time of founding Dhammadharini that I then started to live in the United States and develop the monastic community that's open to the Westerners. And our facilities started out so small and with so little support, just 20 people as our first supporters and just a tiny rented place. In the beginning, people said to me when we decided to start, they were afraid that there wouldn't even be support for even 3 months of living on alms without someone having a job or having some great patron or this kind of thing. They thought people are not used to supporting the nuns. And they support the bhikkhus, but they're just not enculturated to supporting the nuns.
You know, when we are living in America, our Asian devotees, Thai, Sri Lankan, especially Theravada countries' devotees, they take care of us very well. They provide food, they provide our robe, they provide necessary everything to for us. Unfortunately, they don't do same way to the nun. Our society not yet supporting the bhikkhuni. That is very sad thing. We have to start to help them. Bhikkhuni order very, very important today in this world. When I ordained here over around 35 to 40 bhikkhunis, they have to take care of themselves. They don't have a monastery like I do have here. Other male bhikkhus have a temple, they don't have. Some of our nuns stay in the forest area. It is not easy for them, very far, very forest areas, not much facilities. Stay there because they love the sasana, they want to practice.
There are certainly challenges, and there are also solutions. I feel like starting a vihara in the San Francisco Bay Area is quite doable because there are a lot of people interested in the Dhamma, and they're interested in women doing well. The bhikkhunis don't get anything. We get a fraction of the support bhikkhus get. But it's enough. And I feel like this life is a life based on faith. And if you really practice and you move forward and you're determined, then support comes. And it's not like you're doing it for the support, you're just sharing the Dhamma. Since becoming a bhikkhuni, it's possible to help other women realize that they too can live this kind of spiritual life, and giving them more places where they can ordain. And there are a number of women who call or write or visit who are interested in trying to find their way to deeper spiritual practice, and it could take any form. And it's wonderful to be able to try to help them see where they belong. Maybe at another bhikkhuni monastery, or maybe in a different form.
How does one, if one finds oneself falling out of mindfulness, how can one counter that?
Everybody loses mindfulness. It's an ongoing effort to observe what the mind is doing and keep coming back to the Dhamma channel.
I think it is important to have female monastics, have that access to female monastics. I come from a really male-dominated industry, and I didn't want to repeat that, some of the same issues that I found in my industry.
Many women feel more comfortable talking with bhikkhunis, but so do a lot of men. And what are they looking for? They're looking for peace, for relief from suffering.
I ordain here men and women, almost 15 men. Most of them take off robe, but on the other hand, I ordained over 30 nuns. Most of them remain nuns. Some of them are writing, some of them are teaching meditation, some of them are themselves practicing meditation, some of them are doing services, temples, and some of them are counseling, those other things they are doing. Common folks easily approach nun than monk. Whenever any woman has any problems, family matters, they shy, they do not want to talk to the man, monk.
การมีภิกษุณีจะสามารถช่วยให้คนเข้าถึงศาสนามากขึ้นไหมคะอย่างเช่นแบบผู้หญิงเองที่อาจจะเห็นว่าพอมีภิกษุณีก็อาจจะอยากเข้าหาอยากเข้ามาปรึกษาอยากใกล้ชิดมันก็ใกล้ชิดง่ายกว่ากับพระภิกษุสงฆ์อะไรเงี้ยค่ะคือมีข้อดีไหมอะคะในด้านนี้ค่ะ
ข้อนี้ตัดไปได้เลยเพราะว่าการที่มีภิกษุณีมากขึ้นแล้วจะเข้าถึงประชาชนได้ดีกว่านี่ถ้าภิกษุณีเข้าถึงประชาชนได้ก็หมายความว่าภิกษุณีจะเละมากเลยจะเละมากเลยแล้วก็จะถูกชาวบ้านตำหนิบวชแม่ชีที่บวชชีนุ่งขาวห่มขาวเนี่ยถ้าสมมุติว่าเสียหายมันก็ไม่เสียหายอะไรมากเพราะท่านรักษาศีล 8แต่ถ้าภิกษุณี311ข้อนี่หันซ้ายก็โดนหันขวาก็โดนมันติดข้อนู้นข้อนี้เป็นแม่ชีมาทำงานแทนถ้าแม่ชีเป็นสายปฏิบัติดิ่งไปเลยก็ได้แต่ไม่ปฏิบัตินั้นไปปฏิบัติโซเชียลแอคทิวิตี้ไปก็ได้มันทำง่ายกว่าด้วยถ้าจะปฏิบัติให้บรรลุนะคฤหัสถ์ก็บรรลุธรรมได้เป็นพระอรหันต์ได้ไม่ต้องมาเรียกว่าเป็นโรคความดันที่จะต้องบวชให้ได้นะบวชแล้วก็อาจจะไม่ได้เรื่องอะไรเพราะดื้อบวชแล้วอาจจะไม่ได้เรื่องอะไรเลยก็ได้
Why is that the monks are telling us that you don't have to get attached to this way of life, form of living, but they themselves are ordained. So the question goes back, why are they ordained?
One time when I was asked in Thailand, why did you become a bhikkhuni? I said it's out of faith in the Buddha. Because when women wanted to get ordained, he could have said, okay, here's 8 precepts and white robes, and that'll be fine for you. But he didn't. He had bhikkhus, and he created bhikkhuni. The Buddha didn't have special teachings for the select inner circle, and it was the same between men and women. So he gave us the bhikkhuni ordination. This is understandable from a fully enlightened being, and it's amazing 2,500 years ago, and it's even more amazing that we have resistance to it now in the world where we see that women are capable of doing so many things.
Today, world is changed. Not ancient Indian traditions or Asian tradition anymore. Now we have a vice president, also a woman here. So here increasing the support from women. Women roles are very important in this part of the world. Even the Asian countries nowadays, the women are coming up.
For ordination, there are 2 steps. The first one is to be ordained as samaneri, as novice. I can give ordination, but for full ordination, we still have to travel to Sri Lanka or India because it has the final stage of ordination is by bhikkhus, by the monks. We cannot invite Thai monks because otherwise, if they do, then they are going against the order of the Sangharaja. It's a shame, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it's a shame because we as Thai women would very much want to be ordained by the Thai monks themselves. It causes society which is not balanced. Particularly women, when women do not have role model in religion, do not have role model in spiritual context. What can you expect? What can you expect your granddaughters would grow up in? You know, if your granddaughters can grow up in a setting where they can see women in religious role, in spiritual role, would it be better? It's just a question that we need to ask ourselves.
I started to feel like, as the Buddha said, like a farmer cultivating the fields and talking about fields of merit. You know, if the field is rocky and not cultivated well, only a very few seeds of great resilience will be able to grow. But for what the Buddha himself established, it's like called a well-cultivated field of merit. It's like take out all the rocks and till that field very well, and then many of the seeds, which means many people, diverse people, then in that well-tilled environment will find ground and nurturance and be able to grow up. I had a moment in Bangkok, on the street corner in Bangkok, then seeing the small Bodhi tree, little wee tender Bodhi tree, coming up through the crack in the side of the road. And with it coming up, then it's making that crack wider, yes? Then I saw the city bus, like over it, and it just missed to go over that Bodhi tree. Little baby. I saw myself at that time, that year, then maybe 2002, in Bangkok. Not many bhikkhunis in Thailand at that time, and how fragile, how precarious this situation was in a way. I thought for my growing up bigger, if my Bodhi tree grows up bigger, then if that can open the crack larger, such that others are also able to come through and grow up, then that would be good. So I thought, let me at least see what I can do to open up the cracks a little bit wider, and a few more can get through, and then this starts to become less like a rock wall, less like pavement, and more like, truly like a field that's able to nurture and support and give ground to what we think is the greatest merit in this world.